Hello everybody and welcome back to Typical City. Kevin De Bruyne could be on his way out of Manchester City, and I stress the word could, and in my belief I don't think he will leave Manchester City. I feel like he will stay at Manchester City, but it's rumours that are circulating from the Daily Mirror. So take this with a pinch of salt. The player that could be coming in to replace Kevin De Bruyne if he was to leave is Eberechi Eze for this season, it seems like for me. I know straight away I can hear the cries. Well, what about Musiala? What about Florian Wirtz? Well, how obtainable are these players right now? Not very easy to obtain. What is the fee that Manchester City could command for Kevin De Bruyne? And I've also got some interesting comments that Kevin De Bruyne made to a Dutch publication where he floats the idea, shuts the idea down, all within the same comment really. Very typical Kevin De Bruyne, mature response to these rumours and the possibility of one day playing in Saudi Arabia for Al-Ittihad. Now, what are the fees that Manchester City are going to command for Kevin De Bruyne? Reportedly £100 million is what Manchester City will ask for if Al-Ittihad are serious and actually want to purchase Kevin De Bruyne. Huge amount of money. Fair for me, you know. Even though Kevin De Bruyne's got 1 year left on his contract, and that's, ending in 2025, and to still command £100 million, people think, wow, only 1 year left. It's Kevin De Bruyne. Do you know what I mean? It's Kevin bloody De Bruyne. One of the most important players in Manchester City's squad. We all saw the impact he had when he came back from pretty much half of the season being out injured. He came back that final, almost like the final third, I would say, 2/5. Forget my fractions. I don't know. That period when he came back, Kevin De Bruyne showcased to the world what he's all about. Little dips and peaks and troughs in his form, but ultimately it was a great success. And I thought in the Euros he was Belgium's best player by a mile as well. Really outshone the rest of the Belgian players, for me at least. And I thought he was a real shining bright beacon for Belgium in the Euros. The £100 million is a lot of money, and I think it's a fair price to ask for Kevin De Bruyne. And now people might think, well, selling Kevin De Bruyne right now for £100 million is with 1 year contract remaining left. That's good business. Take the money now, and we lose an aging player to Saudi Arabia who's not in competition with Manchester City. He's gone out of the way. He's not going to be a threat to us playing in a Real Madrid squad or a Bayern Munich or very unlikely to go to any of these clubs or even in the Premier League, let's say. He's no threat to us in Saudi Arabia, and we've made £100 million on him. I understand the logics of that, and I can see why people would want that to happen or be okay with it. But the facts are we need him to be replaced almost immediately. So Florian Wirtz, Musiala, they are the two players for me that Manchester City, and reports are suggesting they very likely are to be the two targets that City would go for to replace Kevin De Bruyne, with huge futures ahead of them. So young. No matter who you get after Kevin De Bruyne, there will always be the likely comparisons of, well, are they as good as Kevin De Bruyne? Right now, Musiala, nope. Wirtz, nope. But they're so young. So with that £100 million, we wouldn't be able to obtain them because Musiala's got 2 years left on his contract, ending in 2026, and Wirtz has got 3, ending in 2027, which Wirtz has already said that he doesn't want to leave next year. He wants to stay 1 more year at Bayer Leverkusen. That's already been reported. So we can't get Wirtz. It sounds like he's going to stay with Xabi Alonso at Bayer Leverkusen for 1 more year. And I understand that. That sounds like a good move. We'll really get to see what he's going to be like, because Bayern Munich are going to come back strong. Will Florian Wirtz play a strong role in the Bayer Leverkusen squad to really showcase to the world and obviously up his value in the transfer market in the process by doing this, but go and win the Bundesliga again and really show us how important of a player you actually are, and not just a one-season wonder, doing it 2 years in a row in the Bundesliga and prevent Bayern from winning the Bundesliga again. That would be an unbelievable achievement, and his value would skyrocket and make it difficult to obtain, but also highlight to the world what a player he is. Musiala, obviously in direct competition with him, playing for Bayern Munich. Also reports are suggesting that he won't be able to leave. You're going to be looking at 120 to 130 million for each of these players right now. Add another year on top of that of successful football, that's only going to go up. So in that amount of time, City could afford to pay that right now. We don't need the money to come in to pay that. But the players themselves have already stated they're going to stay at least one more year at their respective clubs. So they're not obtainable, Wirtz and Musiala, this window. We can't. So that brings in what is the Daily Mirror reporting as the potential Kevin De Bruyne replacement, Eberechi Eze. Is he good enough to replace Kevin De Bruyne? So that 100 million, all of a sudden, Eberechi Eze, by the way, has got 3 years left on his contract with a £60 million release clause plus add-ons, which could get closer to 70 million, 68, 70 is the reported fee for Eberechi Eze. So all of a sudden, that 100 million pounds, you're having to spend that to get Eberechi Eze in, who is obviously nowhere near the level of Kevin De Bruyne. A very good player, by the way. I think he's a brilliant player. And if City were to sign him, we've signed a good player. But the Kevin De Bruyne problem, it's always the problem, are you as good as Kevin De Bruyne? No, you're not. And I mean, Musiala, the same will be said to him, the same will be said to Wirtz, but I feel like the gap is smaller, much smaller, between a Wirtz and a Musiala and a Kevin De Bruyne versus Eze and De Bruyne. I feel like the gap is a lot bigger there. Eze's also 26, so he's got age on his side, but he's a good player, a pocket player, very good attacking midfielder. He's got similar aspects and attributes to his game to Kevin De Bruyne. His ability to a powerful shot. He carries the ball very well, similar to Kevin De Bruyne. He tries the risky pass. He's an instinctual player like Kevin De Bruyne. Outside, edge of the box, he lives there, and that's where he plays his most dangerous football, like Kevin De Bruyne. But are those balls in as quite as precise as Kevin De Bruyne? Are his strikes quite as precise and thorough as Kevin De Bruyne? I mean, are anyone's in world football? No, and that's the problem, and always will be the underlying problem. When Kevin De Bruyne is involved in a transfer saga, the idea of him leaving, the idea of him staying no matter what it is, bringing in a player to replace Kevin De Bruyne, it's near impossible, you know? But doable in different ways. You might not get the exact same player. I always go back to the days when they said, we'll never be able to replace Aguero. We'll never be able to replace David Silva. We'll never be able to replace Yaya Toure, Vincent Kompany. We've replaced all of them, and successfully, and almost improved on them. So don't get your knickers in a bunch, if they are, about the idea of not being able to replace Kevin De Bruyne, because I feel like we can, and we will, successfully. It's just right now it would be the difficult time to do it, which is why I think City are much better off in rejecting this deal, saying no to the 100, well, saying anything less than 100 million is an absolute no. If they pay 100 million, then it becomes a different discussion, because 100 million pounds with 1 year left on your contract, it's very, very tempting. But a lot of that money would have to go on Eberechi Eze, because we need a replacement now for Kevin De Bruyne. We can't go into next season without a replacement for Kevin De Bruyne if Kevin De Bruyne leaves. Wirtz and Musiala are not available, so we have to sign someone else. In steps Eze. And are you going to be as good as Kevin De Bruyne? No, you're not. And you've had to spend nearly 70 million to get that replacement for Kevin De Bruyne. You're looking at a £30 million extra spare bit of change there left over after getting the 100 million off Al-Ittihad for Kevin De Bruyne, but still, is it a deal? It would feel forced. Eze would have to find time to get used to City as well. Will he hit the ground running? It's a risky situation for me, a ballsy one for City to even accept 100 million in truth, because I feel like we're better off just waiting. We've got the money sat there. The war chest is sat there waiting for City to use it, but use it on the players we actually want when they're available. Be patient. Learn to wait. City fans, we need to learn to have a little bit of patience and wait. Because we could have gone in earlier for Erling Haaland, but we waited and we got that deal for an incredible amount of money, for 50 plus million for Erling Haaland. You've got to wait sometimes to get the players you really, really want. We had to wait for Pep Guardiola. We got Mancini and Pellegrini, and it was an enjoyable ride in the process, but we waited for the man we really wanted, and that was Pep. And when we got him, we loved every second we got of him. So the same could be said to Musiala, the same could be said to Wirtz. 1 more year, await, keep De Bruyne at Manchester City, and yeah, if he goes on a free, he goes on a free. But that 100 million was going to have to be spent, a massive chunk on it, just to replace him for 1 year anyway. So I would rather keep Kevin De Bruyne and then get Wirtz and Musiala a year further down the line. But let's have a little look at the comments that Kevin De Bruyne made on the possibility of leaving Manchester City for Al-Ittihad. And this was speaking to a Dutch publication called The Latest News. I still have 1 year left on my contract, so I have to think about what could happen. My eldest is now 8 years old and knows nothing but England. He also asks how long I will play for City. Once the moment comes, we will have to deal with it in a certain way. At my age, you have to be open to everything. You're talking about incredible amounts of money in what may be the end of my career. Sometimes you have to think about that. If I play there for 2 years, I will be able to earn an incredible amount of money. Before that, I had to play football for 15 years. I may not even reach that amount yet. Then you have to think about what that could mean next. But at the moment, I haven't had to think about that yet. So, very fork in the road moment for Kevin De Bruyne. I feel like, is he going to stick with City? Is he going to stick with City for a bit, then go Saudi Arabia, or is he going to go Saudi Arabia right now? I feel like he'll stay for 1 more year. I feel like Kevin De Bruyne will have a big conversation with Pep Guardiola. He's immediately brings his son into question. But as someone who's in the middle of moving house right now myself, with a 7-year-old's opinion being factored in, I can relate. You know, you've got to think, I'm moving 10-15 minutes away and I'm still worried about the distance from his current school to where he's going to be living. We're talking about Saudi Arabia and uprooting an 8-year-old's life and his wife's life, you know, and he's a very serious, mature family man, Kevin De Bruyne. So it won't just be pound signs, dollar signs, all in the lights for Kevin De Bruyne, and I'm moving, I'm off to get that money. He will be factoring in the way of life, living in Saudi Arabia. Will he be happy with that? Will his children be happy with that? Will his wife be happy with that? All factored in. And De Bruyne will take their opinions over his own and his footballing career. His family, he's a really big family man, and I think that's why he'll stay. For me, and I relate to it. But even if he didn't, if he went and took the money, he's clearly talking about the money. It is life-changing amount of money. Even at the level of Kevin De Bruyne, it's another level of money, and I get it. Which brings into the whole question. I mean, you hear about these players talking about the money as well, the credibility of this. A totally separate topic that I'm going to end the video on right now, by the way, but stick around because I feel like Saudi Arabia, mate, like, how would you feel as a owner of a football club, knowing you're signing these players, yet they are openly being interviewed before they sign, saying, well, it's a great amount of money. It's all about the money. Money, 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 money. Like, well, do you want to come because the culture here is brilliant and you have a chance to create a heritage for a newfound league? No, you're not interested in that. Just about the money? Yeah, it is, unfortunately. It is. I mean, I wouldn't be too proud about my football club signing players like this with no heritage or anything like that in terms of money, just about the money. And, you know, you've not Champions League football. It's just, how long will this last? Because we saw it with the Chinese Super League as well, didn't we? All the players that were heading over there for the money. It didn't last. A lot of reports came out negatively. I wish them all the best, Saudi Arabia. I hope they do manage to find some sort of success. But you've got decades and decades of football to be played before you can even come close, even a fraction of the heritage that the Premier League and La Liga and the Bundesliga and Serie A and Ligue 1, all of these leagues have respect across the globe a million times over compared to Saudi Arabia. So they've got a long way to go to earn that. But signing players like that are a stepping stone in the right direction. Will Kevin De Bruyne be one of them, though? Let me know your thoughts. Is Eberechi Eze the answer to replace Kevin De Bruyne? Even if it's only for a 1 year time, do you want to see City spending a huge chunk of that 100 million if we were to sell Kevin De Bruyne on the likes of Eberechi Eze? Or would you rather wait for 1 more year, keep Kevin De Bruyne and get a Wirtz and a Musiala in 2025 instead? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now, holding up silver.